let's be brutally honest. You didn't just end up here. You built this hell with your own hands, brick by brick, like some sadistic architect who couldn't decide between a prison or a funhouse, so you made both. Every toxic belief, that's one of your bricks. Every bad habit, another brick. And every time you said, "This is just who I am," congratulations, you poured the cement. Here's the kicker. You chose this. Maybe not consciously, but let's not play the victim card. You shaped this reality with every decision you made, every time you kept quiet when you should have screamed, every time you said yes to people you should have run from. And now you're living in the monster house you built, and you're surprised it's haunted. Look around. The walls are lined with your regrets, like bad wallpaper you keep pretending will grow on you. The lights flicker with every memory of the times you gave up on yourself. The floorboards creak under the weight of your unspoken fears. And yet, here you are, acting like someone else did this to you. No, this is your design. You know what's worse? Some part of you likes it. You've grown comfortable in the chaos because it's familiar. It's easier to curse the fire than admit you're the one who lit the match. You walk around this hellscape like a landlord collecting rent from your own misery. It's twisted, but it's yours. And I get it. I've been there. I know what it's like to hold on to pain like it's a family heirloom, to polish it up and put it on display for anyone who dares to ask why you are the way you are. You keep telling yourself, this is just my life, like it's some Netflix drama you can't cancel. But here's the truth, it's not fate, it's not destiny, it's choice. You built this hell because you were scared of building something else. Fear is the laziest architect, cheaper than courage, faster than patience, and it'll cut every corner just to get the job done. And now here you are, standing in your own fire, wondering who turned up the heat. But here's the twist. You can tear it all down. Yeah, the same hands that built this prison are the ones that can smash the walls, throw the match, and start fresh. But you can't start if you're still pretending you're just a victim here. No, you're the builder, and that means you're also the destroyer. So, before we go further, I'm going to ask you something. Are you ready to own this? Not just the pain, but the power behind it. Because if you're here to feel sorry for yourself, you can click out now. But if you're ready to take a long, ugly look at the mess you've made, congratulations. Welcome to your hell. And guess what? We're burning it down. Here's the part you don't want to hear. Nobody is holding you hostage in this mess. There are no guards, no gates, no chains. The only thing keeping you locked in this self-made hell is you. And maybe that sweet, toxic comfort of blaming someone else. You act like you're trapped, but let's be real. You've gotten used to the walls. You've memorized the cracks in the ceiling. You know exactly how the floor creaks when you step on it. You hate it here, but at least it's familiar. And that's the problem. Humans, yeah, you, me, everyone, are experts at settling for familiar misery over unknown freedom. Why? Because freedom is terrifying. There are no instructions out there, no excuses, just raw, terrifying choice. And that's what scares you most, isn't it? Choice. That because if you really looked at yourself, your habits, your excuses, your fears, you'd see that you're not some tragic character chained to a fate you didn't choose. You're the warden. You run this place. You lock the doors every night. Think about it. How many times have you chosen silence when you should have spoken? How many times have you stayed where you didn't belong just because leaving meant facing the unknown? That wasn't fate. That was fear, dressed up as loyalty, convenience, or just how life is. And let's not sugarcoat it. Fear is a master manipulator. It tells you, don't risk it, don't try. It'll hurt. But here's the dark joke. You're already hurting. You've been hurting. The difference is, this hurt is comfortable. It's predictable. You know the taste of it. You've built rituals around it, like making coffee every morning with a side of self-loathing. The truth? You could leave at any moment. The door has been wide open this whole time. But freedom isn't easy. Freedom means responsibility. It means owning every step, every scar, every failure. It means you don't get to blame anyone else anymore. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be easy. I'm here to tell you it's going to be worth it, because once you realize you're not trapped, you're just scared, you can stop pretending. And when you stop pretending, you can finally start tearing down these walls. So, ask yourself this: are you ready to walk out of the prison you built? Or are you still too attached to the comfort of the cage? Here's the thing about pain: most people run from it. They avoid it like fire, terrified to get burned. But not you. No, you're different. You've turned pain into a roommate. You pour it coffee in the morning, let it sit on your couch, and even let it tell you bedtime stories at night. Because deep down, some part of you doesn't just tolerate pain, you crave it. Sounds messed up, right? But it's true. Humans are junkies for the familiar, even when the familiar hurts. You've wired yourself to believe that suffering is normal, maybe even noble. You think that if you're not struggling, something's wrong, and that's the lie that keeps you stuck. You've worn your suffering like a badge of honor. It's your identity, your excuse, your safety net. I can't try that, I'm broken. I can't love, I'm too scarred. I can't chase my dreams, I'm just too damaged. And the cruel joke: you're not protecting yourself with these excuses, you're just building prettier walls around your prison. The truth is, you've become addicted to the story of your pain. You retell it in your head like your favorite movie, over and over again, until it's the only script you know. You've convinced yourself that healing would mean losing who you are. Because who are you if you're not the person who suffered? Who are you without the story that's been keeping you company all these years? But let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt alive? Not just surviving, not just existing, but actually living. If you're honest, it's been a while, hasn't it? Because life beyond pain is unfamiliar, and unfamiliar means terrifying. So, you keep circling back to the pain you know. It's safer, it's predictable, it's your comfort zone dressed up as a nightmare. You've convinced yourself that maybe this is just what life is. One long series of disappointments with the occasional flicker of light, just to remind you what you'll never have. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. You're not addicted to pain. You're addicted to control. And pain, as awful as it feels, is something you know how to manage. You can't predict joy. You can't schedule happiness. But pain is reliable. It always shows up. It always gives you something to hold on to. What would happen if you let go of that story? If you stopped letting pain define you and started writing something else? Would you still recognize yourself? Would you still know who you are? That's the fear talking. That's the voice of someone who's forgotten that they're more than their scars. You've survived hell, yes, but surviving is not the same as living. And deep down, you know it. So here's the question. Are you ready to give up your addiction to pain? Or will you keep feeding it, letting it grow until it swallows every part of you that still wants to fight? Because here's the ugly truth. Pain doesn't make you strong. Choosing to step out of it does. You can't tear down a house if you keep worshipping the blueprint. And right now, you're clinging to the same blueprint that built your personal hell in the first place. The toxic patterns, the beliefs that rot you from the inside out, the rules you inherited but never questioned, the ones that whisper, "This is just the way life is." Here's the hard truth. It's not. Life isn't some pre-written manual you were forced to memorize. It's clay, and you can shape it however you want. But you've been too busy polishing the bars of your cage instead of breaking them. Why? Because smashing the old structure is terrifying. It means facing the blank space that comes after. Let's talk about that blank space. You know, the silence that creeps in when you stop doing the same self-destructive dance you've been perfecting for years. It's scary because it's new. It's uncharted. There's no suffering there to keep you company, no chaos to distract you from your own potential. And that's the real fear, isn't it? Not failing, but finally realizing how much power you actually have. You've been conditioned to believe that the pain you know is safer than the freedom you don't. Society loves this game. It tells you to follow the script, get the job, play nice, don't question too much. And if you do, well, congratulations. You're difficult, weird, or unstable. But here's a little secret. Every revolutionary, every creator, every person who made history started by burning the old blueprint. Think about it. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life rearranging the furniture in a house you hate? Because that's what you're doing every time you try to fix yourself without actually questioning the foundation you're standing on. The foundation is cracked. It's been cracked for years, and no amount of paint or motivational quotes is going to fix it. You need to bulldoze it. And yes, that's going to hurt. It's going to feel like death, like ripping off your own skin. But on the other side of that pain is something wild, something real, something that doesn't reek of compromise. The question is, do you have the guts to do it? To break every lie you've told yourself? To torch every rule that kept you small, silent, and half alive? Because here's what happens when you burn the blueprint. You get to design something new. Something that doesn't smell like fear. Something that's yours. Every broken, beautiful, authentic piece of it. And yeah, it's messy. You'll stumble. You'll second guess. You'll want to run back to the comfort of your old hell, because at least it was familiar. But if you can hold your ground, if you can stand in that blank space long enough, you'll find something worth building. And this time, you'll know it wasn't built out of fear. It was built out of fire. You've burned the blueprint. The old rules are ash. The walls you clung to for years are rubble. Now you're standing in the middle of what used to be your life, with nothing but the fire you started. And here's the part no one warns you about. Once the old hell is gone, that fire has nowhere to go but inward. This is the part where you face yourself, raw, stripped, and without excuses. There's no one left to blame, no system left to rebel against, no false narrative to hide behind. Just you and the question that's been haunting you all along. Now what? Most people don't get this far. They throw a match, feel the heat, and run back to the same old misery because at least it feels like home. But you're still here. And that means you're staring straight into the terrifying freedom of rebuilding from zero. Here's what happens when the fire turns inward. You see all the versions of yourself you've been avoiding. The coward, the dreamer, the liar, the kid who wanted to be more but settled for less. They all show up now, standing around like ghosts at your own funeral. And they're not here to haunt you. They're here to ask, are you done yet? This isn't punishment. This is clarity. Pain has a way of stripping off the fake skin until only truth remains. And the truth, it's messy. It's not Instagram pretty. It's not motivational poster worthy. It's uncomfortable as hell. But if you can sit with it, really sit with it, you'll see something real. Here's the truth bomb. Rebuilding your life isn't about creating some perfect, shiny version of yourself. It's about learning to live with all the messy parts, the shadows, the scars. It's about making peace with the ghosts without letting them run the show. Dark humor time. Think of it like assembling IKEA furniture, but without the manual, and half the screws are missing. You'll curse, you'll want to quit, you'll put something on backward, but if you stick with it, eventually, you'll have something solid, something that's yours. And let's be real, you're going to screw up. You'll build some walls that look suspiciously like the ones you just burned. You'll catch yourself falling into old patterns, old pain. That's normal. That's the price of rebuilding while still carrying the ashes of who you were. But every time you catch yourself and choose differently, you win. Every time you decide not to let fear write the script, you reclaim a piece of your freedom. That's how the fire stops consuming you and starts forging you. You're not rebuilding to become someone new. You're rebuilding to remember who you've been all along, the version of you that existed before the lies, the fears, the self-imposed prisons. So here's the challenge. Let the fire turn inward, not to destroy, but to purify. Let it burn away the excuses, the fake identities, the stories that never belonged to you. This is where you stop surviving hell and start creating something worth living for. You think the hardest part of this journey is tearing down the walls, but no, that's the easy part. The real fight begins when you catch your own reflection in the ruins and realize that the enemy you've been running from is you. There it is, that face, the one that's lied, sabotaged, and whispered every excuse under the sun. The one that pretended not to care while quietly breaking down inside. The one that smiled for others while screaming in silence. That's your opponent. And here's the brutal truth. You can't run from this fight. But here's the twist. This isn't a war you win by destroying yourself. This is a war you win by understanding the monster you've become and making peace with it. Look, you've got demons. Don't act like you don't. They're hiding behind your smile, your silence, your sarcasm. You've kept them locked in the basement for so long that they've grown teeth. And now, as you stand here stripped of excuses, those demons aren't just whispering, they're shouting. This is where most people quit. They can burn the blueprint, they can destroy the old walls, but when they face their own reflection, they flinch. Because it's one thing to fight the world, it's another to fight yourself. But you have to. Because here's the thing about demons, they don't disappear if you ignore them. They just find new ways to run your life from the shadows. Every toxic pattern you repeat, every self-destructive choice you make, every time you settle for less than you deserve. Yeah, that's them pulling the strings. So how do you fight? You don't fight to kill, you fight to reclaim. You look your demons in the eyes and say, I see you, I know why you're here, but you don't get to drive anymore. Carl Jung called this integrating the shadow, facing the dark parts of yourself, not to destroy them, but to make them part of your strength. And he was right. Because the parts of you that scare you the most, they're also the parts with the most power. That anger you've buried, it's your fire. That fear, it's your warning system. That sadness you've tried to drown, it's proof you still care. Stop pretending you're perfect. Stop pretending you're above the darkness. You're not. None of us are. But here's the beauty of that. You don't have to be. The enemy in the mirror isn't here to destroy you. It's here to wake you up, to remind you of every battle you've survived, every scar you've earned, every lie you've shed. It's here to challenge you to be more than your pain. So take one last look at your reflection. The enemy, the demon, the monster, it's all you. And that's not a curse. It's the greatest weapon you've got. Here's the thing about rebuilding. You can't do it while pretending the wreckage doesn't exist. You can't just sweep up the ashes, slap on a smile, and call it a fresh start. If you really want to rise, you have to own every piece of the disaster you've created. Every wrong turn, every burnt bridge, every self-sabotaging move, you have to look at it, hold it, and say, yeah, that was me. No excuses, no hiding behind the convenient lie that life just happened to me. No, life didn't just happen. You made choices, messy, human, sometimes terrible choices, and owning that, that's where your power is. People think strength comes from perfection. They think it's about being untouchable, flawless, immune to failure. But that's not strength, that's delusion. Real strength, it's standing knee-deep in the wreckage of your own life and refusing to flinch. This is where dark humor becomes your ally. You look at the mess you've made, the emotional explosions, the bad decisions, the nights you swore you'd do better but didn't, and you laugh. Not because it's funny, but because you've survived it. Because somehow, despite everything, you're still here. And here's the thing about owning the wreckage. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you untouchable. The moment you say, yes, I did that, I screwed up, I built my own hell, is the moment no one else can use it against you. It's like taking every weapon your demons have and melting them into armor. Think of it like this. You've been living in denial like a hoarder who insists the piles of trash are just a bit of clutter. But when you start dragging everything into the light, the pain, the fear, the shame, you see it for what it really is. Just stuff. Heavy stuff, sure. Ugly stuff, absolutely. But it's not stronger than you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of the wreckage you've been avoiding isn't even yours. It's hand-me-down pain, trauma, expectations, and lies passed down by parents, teachers, society. And you've been lugging it around like a backpack full of bricks. It's time to drop it. Not all of it, not all at once, but piece by piece, until you're carrying only what's truly yours. Owning the wreckage also means owning your victories, the small, stubborn ways you've kept going, the nights you wanted to quit but didn't, the moments you chose to stand back up, even when your legs were shaking. You need to own that too. That's your foundation now. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be fixed. You just have to be real. And being real means accepting that your life isn't a clean, polished narrative. It's a chaotic, messy, sometimes beautiful disaster. And that's okay. So take one last look at the wreckage around you. Not to dwell on it, but to understand it, to learn from it, to use it. Because these broken pieces, they're not just reminders of what went wrong. They're the raw material for whatever you build next. Here's a secret no one told you when you were growing up. You don't need anyone's permission to build a new life. You don't need society to hand you a certificate that says, "Congratulations, you're allowed to start over now." If you're waiting for a green light, it's not coming. The road is yours, but you have to step onto it, alone, uninvited, and unapologetic. This is where most people get stuck. They want validation. They want someone to pat them on the back and say, "Yes, you're ready. Yes, you're good enough." But here's the reality check. No one's going to save you, and no one's going to give you a damn thing. You're not a child waiting for approval anymore. You're a grown human who's either going to rise or rot. Building without permission means breaking every unspoken rule you've lived by. The rules that told you to keep your head down, to fit in, to stay small and manageable. Screw that. You weren't made to be manageable. You were made to be messy, unpredictable, alive. But let's be honest, building is harder than burning. Burning is pure chaos. Building takes intention, it takes vision, it takes courage to create something that's never existed before. Your life, your way. And yeah, people will talk. They'll judge. They'll whisper behind your back because your freedom threatens their comfort. Let them. Dark humor check. Think of them like background characters in your personal horror comedy film. They're there to fill space, maybe add a little drama, but they're not the main act. You are. Stop letting the opinions of extras dictate how your story unfolds. And here's the kicker. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a 5-year plan or a perfect vision board. You just need to take the first step, then another, then another. It's like building a house without knowing exactly what the final blueprint will look like. You learn as you go. You adapt. You pivot. You tear down what doesn't work and keep what does. You'll fail. Oh, you'll fail beautifully. You'll pour your energy into something only to watch it collapse in slow motion. And when it does, laugh. Seriously, laugh. Because every failure is proof that you're doing the one thing most people are too afraid to do. Try. Building without permission also means taking full ownership of your dreams. No more blaming time, money, or circumstances. No more waiting for the stars to align. You have what you need. Your hands, your mind, your will. That's enough. It's always been enough. Here's the question you have to ask yourself. What do you want to build? Not what your parents wanted. Not what society expects. What you want. What's the thing that makes your chest burn and your hands shake because it's so raw, so real, so damn scary? Start there. Start small if you have to, but start. Because the only way out of the hell you built is by creating something better, something so alive and true that it makes the old pain look irrelevant. This isn't about perfection, it's about audacity. The audacity to build without waiting for permission. The audacity to choose yourself fully, unapologetically, and without regret. Up until now, you've been the demolition crew. You've torn down the walls of your self-made hell. You've faced your demons. You've owned the wreckage. But now comes the next evolution. You have to become the architect. No more burning for the sake of burning. It's time to build something real, something deliberate, something that doesn't collapse the moment life throws a storm at you. Here's the tricky part. Most of us have no idea how to build something truly ours because we've spent our entire lives following someone else's design. We grew up in houses made of other people's rules, beliefs, and fears. We were handed blueprints we never asked for, told to follow them like gospel. Go to school, get a job, buy a house, stay quiet. That's not a life. That's a factory setting. But you're not factory made. Not anymore. You burned that script. And now you're staring at the blank page of your own blueprint, wondering what the hell to do with it. Here's the good news. You don't have to build it all at once. Architecture isn't about throwing bricks and hoping for the best. It's about vision and precision, yes, but also about being willing to revise, adapt, and start over when necessary. It's about building layer by layer, choosing each piece intentionally. The bad news, you're the only one who can design this thing. No one is coming with the answers. No guru, no parent, no motivational YouTube video can tell you what your life should look like. And that's terrifying, but it's also liberating because for the first time you're free to build something that's actually yours. Think of this like building a house out of the broken pieces you salvaged from your old life. Every mistake becomes a foundation stone. Every scar becomes a beam of strength. Every regret becomes a lesson you carve into the walls as a reminder of what not to repeat. You don't have to get it perfect. Hell, you won't get it perfect. There will be rooms you'll need to knock down and rebuild. There will be windows that don't fit, doors that slam shut when they should open, but you'll figure it out. Because this time, you're not building for approval. You're building for truth. And don't forget to add joy. Real joy. The kind you've probably neglected for years because you were too busy surviving. Build a room in this new life where you can laugh without feeling guilty, where you can breathe without waiting for something to go wrong. Humor isn't just decoration. It's the glue that holds this whole damn structure together. Becoming the architect means accepting that no one will understand your design, and that's fine. They don't have to live here. You do. This is your house, your story, your second chance. And if someone doesn't like how you're building it, hand them a hammer and tell them to build their own. So here's the question. Are you ready to draft this blueprint, brick by brick, day by day? Are you ready to create something that doesn't just survive the storm, but invites the storm in and says, "This is my house, you can't shake it"? Because that's what it means to become the architect. Not just to rebuild, but to build something unshakable. So here we are. The end of the road, or maybe the beginning, depending on how you look at it. You've torn down the lies, faced the wreckage, and started laying the first bricks of something new. But before we close this chapter, there's one last truth you need to face. No one is coming to save you. Not now, not ever. Harsh, maybe. But it's also liberating. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone to rescue you, you realize something life-changing. You were the hero all along. You've been carrying the sword, the torch, the fire. You just didn't trust yourself enough to see it. Think about it. All those nights you thought would break you. You survived them. Every mistake you swore would ruin you. You're still here. Every version of you that wanted to quit. They didn't win. And if that's not power, I don't know what is. The final reckoning isn't about perfection, it's about choice. Choosing to stop living like a victim of your past. Choosing to stop letting fear build your future. Choosing every single day to stand in your own fire and say, "I'm not afraid of burning anymore." And yes, there will be days when you fall back into the ashes. Days when your old hell calls to you like a toxic lover, promising comfort, familiarity, maybe even a twisted kind of safety. Don't fall for it. You've outgrown that version of yourself. You don't need to crawl back into a cage just because freedom feels lonely sometimes. Here's a hard pill to swallow. Growth is lonely. Healing is uncomfortable. Rebuilding means spending long nights with your own thoughts, asking yourself questions you don't want to answer. But that's where transformation happens. Not in the noise of the world, but in the quiet moments when it's just you and the mirror. And when you look into that mirror, I hope you see what I see. someone who refused to quit, someone who stared at the fire and chose to walk through it, someone who built something new out of the ashes of their own mistakes. This is your life now, your hell, your fire, your blueprint. And from here on out, everything you do is either building toward the life you want or rebuilding the walls of the one you burned. The choice is yours. So let me leave you with this. Stop waiting. Stop asking for permission. Stop apologizing for wanting more than a half-lived existence. Own your scars, own your fire, and own the fact that no one else gets to define you anymore. This is your reckoning. Now go. Build the life that scares you, the one that burns, the one that feels like freedom.